With the coming of evening, Jesus said to his disciples, "Let us cross over to the other side." And leaving the crowd behind, they took him, just as he was, in the boat. And there were other boats with him. Then it began to blow a gale, and the waves were breaking into the boat, so that it was almost swamped. But he was in the stern, his head on the cushion, asleep. They woke him.
"Master! Carest thou not that we perish?"
Peace. Be still.
And the wind dropped, and all was calm again. Then he said to them,
Why are ye so fearful? How is it that ye have no faith?
They were filled with awe and said to one another, "Who can this be? Even the wind and the sea obey him." The Gospel account of Jesus calming the storm is a passage loaded with symbolism. It draws on the story of creation, where God brings order out of the chaos of the primordial storm, where the earth was formless and void, where darkness hovered over the surface of the deep and the Spirit of God moved over the waters. And God said, "Let there be light." And by God's word, order was brought forth from the chaos. When the disciples turn to Jesus in their fear and their alarm, Jesus does something that only God can do. Jesus calms the storm by his word. The disciples witness the creative power of God at work in Jesus. No wonder the disciples are in awe. But the symbolism isn't just drawn from Genesis and the story of creation. Some of those symbols were drawn from the community for which Mark writes. For them, the boat itself is symbolic of their community. It was as representative to them of their church as the cross is a symbol of Christ and Christianity to us. The storm, the waves and the wind buffeting the boat was also a common symbol of trials and tribulation in Mark's day. And Mark's church was well aware of the storm that was threatening to overpower the boat that was their church. Mark wrote in a time of great persecution and of challenge to their understanding of who they are as disciples, as Christians. The image of the disciples in a boat being buffeted by the storm is one that would speak powerfully to the people for whom Mark wrote his gospel. Mark's purpose in retelling of Christ's calming of the storm isn't just about revealing Christ's sharing in God's creative power, but that Christ is in the boat with his disciples, present in his church through all ages. And Mark's gospel speaks just as powerfully to us, reminding us that it is Christ's church, and Christ is still with us, still at the head of the church, still at the heart of the church. It's a message that's intended to give us confidence and courage. But what are we fearful of about our church and where it's going? What are the storms threatening our church today? from outwith as well as within? And what are the signs that Christ is still with us, still speaking his creative word, still calling for order from chaos?